Looks like all those years of YouTube video game reviews have finally paid off because I am here in Melrose, Massachusetts, and I've been hired as part of the production team for EVOLVE Wrestling. I have no experience in wrestling whatsoever as far as work goes. I'm very excited. I have no idea what's about to happen, so come along.
Are you Trevin?
Nick?
Mike.
Yeah. Oh, HR told me about you. The YouTube guy. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm Trevin. How are you doing, man?
Very good.
Welcome to EVOLVE Wrestling.
Yeah, this is exciting.
Totally different than YouTube. I get it. Interwebs.
Right.
This is production. This is the big time, dude.
Okay.
I need help.
Okay.
I need somebody who can deal with talent. I've got a pile of things I need from these guys. I've got other things to do. Doors are literally about to open.
Okay.
Can you take care of this? Do you know what you need to do?
I think
you do. Great. I'll see you later, buddy. Let me get back to work. Thanks for your help, man.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna leave you guys with one more video game review before I start off on my illustrious production career here at EVOLVE Wrestling. And that review is WWF Wrestlemania the arcade game, but on the PlayStation 1. Does it hold up or does it suck? Ding ding, let the review begin.
Wrestling and I have an odd relationship. In the early days of my youth, I used to casually watch the World Wrestling Federation during the Hulk Hogan years. Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, Ted DiBiase the $1 Million Man, Honky Tonk Man, and more. One of the games I used to play was WWF Wrestlemania. While I was a huge fan of the David Wise soundtrack, I would get super frustrated with the game as I didn't understand how to pin as a kid, so I would just end up getting the stuffing knocked out of me repeatedly. I mostly forgot about wrestling after that. That is, until the Attitude Era. WWF was known for being pretty edgy in the late 90s and early 2000s Attitude Era, and WWF Attitude on the N64 was a huge hit in my household. My friends and I would religiously watch each week to see what would happen to Stone Cold, The Rock, The Undertaker, Mankind, and all the big and small-time wrestlers. Heck, we even broke our bus driver's trampoline doing wrestling moves on them. Hopefully, she's not watching this, but if you are, sorry Ethel, you'll always be our favorite bus driver. Good old Ethel. Wait, was her name actually Ethel? Shortly after the Attitude Era was at its peak, I stopped watching it in my senior year of high school. But I'll never forget the awesome memories my friends and I had playing WWF Attitude on the N64. It was a surprisingly complex game with an epic, for its time, create-a-character mode, along with real versions of the intro themes of the wrestlers and a good chunk of their movesets. But in between these two eras of wrestling that I was into, there was a surge of WWF wrestling games to hit the NES, Super NES, and Sega Genesis, one of which was today's game, WWF Wrestlemania, the arcade game. Released in 1995 in arcades, Midway Games opted to create a game that was part NBA Jam, part Mortal Kombat, and all WWF. Thankfully, since both of these series were released by Midway, they were able to work in their own wheelhouse to create a perfect merger of arcade ease of accessibility, mixed with over-the-top stoogery and exciting wrestling action. The game was a hit in arcades, and developer Sculptured Software was brought into the mix to port the game to the Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, Sega 32X, and even MS-DOS. But the two ports which were closest to the original arcade release were the Sony PlayStation and Sega Saturn releases, with the Saturn port being released an entire year after the PlayStation 1 version, with barely any major differences, and a slight bit more slowdown at points. So is the PlayStation 1 port the king of the ring of home-release WWF arcade entertainment?
Strong words, Ron, from John Davis after a disappointing loss.
That lariat from hell nearly decapitating the victorious Anthony Henry, who unfortunately...
Hey, John, great show.
Nope!
WWF The Arcade Game features the likenesses of several prominent wrestlers during the mid-90s. Hell, there was even a goofy behind-the-scenes video of the development of the game that was created.
So it's really time for something different, don't you think? Something with a little power, a little slam, a little edge, a little rock and roll. Ah, you know what's missing? A game that just rocks. So players can feel the excitement that is WWF Wrestling. Something that's got all the moves, Joe, all the moves. Side headlocks, clotheslines, big elbows, chokeholds, sleepers. You name it, Joe, it'll be in there. Joe Dillon, we're gonna walk right into this industry and grab him right by the...
Hold on. Hitman, I think I got the idea.
I mean, just look at this guy's face. He knows what's up. Somebody give him an Oscar.
Hold on.
I miss when video game companies did stuff like this. Anyways, Bret the Hitman Hart, Bam Bam Bigelow, Lex Luger, Yokozuna, Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, The Undertaker, and Doink. Why Doink of all the wrestlers they could have chosen? I don't know. Well, despite my concerns, it all works out thanks to a heavy focus on fun, not accuracy. See, unlike later WWF games that made you learn tons of different moves, WrestleMania the Arcade Game has simplified movesets that are created for anyone to pick up and play. Special attacks are larger than life, with The Undertaker shooting skulls out of his hands, Bret Hart's devastating uppercut that puts Mortal Kombat to shame, and Doink pulls a giant mallet out of nowhere to pummel his opponents. It's loud and proud, and wouldn't have it any other way. I think this style really helps return the elements of wrestling back down to earth for average gamers like myself, and the developers did a great job of keeping the move list exciting for both arcade and console players. This port features 2 single-player modes and 2 multiplayer modes, though it's a bit confusing when you start the game as it's unclear which mode does what. Unless you have the manual or played this in the arcades, you might be a bit lost on how to navigate through, as pressing start on one controller gets the player select screen going. If the second player also doesn't hit start, and a character is chosen by the first player, the game moves directly into single player mode. If you accidentally do this, you have to wait an agonizingly long time for the game to realize you want to start over, thus going back to the title screen. I tried pressing circle, which is traditionally the back button on most PlayStation games, but sadly nothing happened. I then tried all the other buttons and nada. Shouldn't they have included a way for players to not sit and wait for the game to reset itself? This can, at times, seem like too literal of an arcade conversion.
Shane Strickland was limping a little harder on the way to the back than he was on the way to the ring, but far be it for me to cast aspersions on the team.
Hey Shane, it's Mike from the EVOLVE production team. I am here for anything you need. Please tell me anything.
Oh, so you're the guy.
Yep, I'm the guy.
Okay,
Yep,
awesome,
yep, okay.
awesome. I'm looking for somebody like
Yes,
you.
yes.
All right, so I'm gonna need you to run to the corner store around the corner. You know?
Yeah, sure.
I need you to pick up a couple things.
Okay, all right.
You know, I need a water,
Yep.
Monster Energy drink, some bandages, KT tape, Starburst lip balm for myself. You know, yeah, that's about it. Maybe
Okay.
more.
Oh, more?
Maybe.
Maybe?
What are you still doing here? Go.
Oh, okay, all right, see you.
Idiot.
Anyways, multiplayer modes include a head-to-head mode and a cooperative mode. Playing with 2 players, the game is a lot of fun, with the spectacle of wrestling being so intuitive to manipulate thanks to fairly responsive controls and characters. And before you finish choosing your characters, there is an options area that allows you to change your entire control scheme so that you can use something that spreads out some of the buttons. The game's default control scheme tends to double up on the button placement. You can run and block just like Mortal Kombat 3, all with the push of a button. Running against the ropes is automatic when the button is pressed, and if timed correctly, impressive power attacks can be used to knock down your opponents. Hit them hard enough and you can kick them while they're down. Your wrestler can exit the ring as well, but most of the actions stay inside the ring. If you want to climb up to the top of the ropes, there's no button to press. Just go up to the top left or top right turnbuckles, and your wrestler will automatically begin ascending to the top. I thought the distance they can jump to attack was a bit unfair, as it takes up almost all of the screen, but I can understand on an arcade level how fitting that is, so it gets a pass. However, the bottom turnbuckles do not work. In fact, the whole bottom of the ring is kind of dark and dingy, almost as if nobody has washed it for 1,000 years. Maybe it's haunted.
At the 2300 arena. In fact, Flyboy Rocco Rock, Ted Petty, the very first inductee here at the arena in 2002. His
Hey, how's it going? My name's Mike. I'm with the production team today. Yeah. Is there anything I can get you guys?
Hey, Mark, what we want is to be left alone, all right? I don't even know why you came here.
Mitch, how about you go get me a unicorn? How's that? Hey, Joe, I'm gonna go get his haircut. This thing's looking ridiculous.
Hey, what I want is you to get some new shoes. That's really what I want. Honestly, it's a prank. What'd you say your name was again?
Mike.
Yeah.
Steve.
Hey, I need a steak, fully loaded baked potato. Matter of fact, well four done. steaks. Well done.
Four number
Well
four.
done. Baked potatoes. Well done. We don't do blood. Pokemon. We don't do blood.
Okay, listen, Michelle. Okay, we got a lot of things to do right now. So I think this is funny. You're wasting our time and you think it's funny. Thank you. What do you want? Appreciate it. Hey,
get going.
All right. Wait. Before you go, come on. Hey. Get out, man.
With a max of 2 players, one would think the arcade game would have expanded to, at the very least, a 4-player option, but the PlayStation had enough trouble with the cooperative 2-player mode. Unlike head-to-head where you're fighting each other, co-op feels more like a Royal Rumble, where 4 characters fight each other at the same time. When you or your partner takes out an opponent, the game has to load a player to enter the ring, which causes a pretty major interruption. It completely stops the flow of the game with a not-so-subtle loading screen continuously slowing things down to a crawl. The pace is off, which makes the tightness of the multiplayer head-to-head mode seem like it's the best opportunity for you to consistently toss your friends around on the map. This was probably my biggest gripe with the game, aside from the intense difficulty in all the other single-player modes.
WWN Championship in an absolute war with Darby Allin here in Melrose.
Penelope, right?
Yes.
Yes, I am Mike. I'm with the production team here at EVOLVE. I'm gonna be helping out. Anything you need, let me know. I'll be glad to go get it for you.
Let's rob a bank. Yep.
I don't know what to do with that.
I'll drive the getaway car. I have ski mask in my dressing room, and I got a little gun. We're good to go. Yeah, let's do it. Come on.
Okay, I'm gonna go do that.
Yeah, I'll meet you in my car. I'm leaving him in the dust.
While the cheese factor is through the roof in this game, the single-player modes are moldy at best. Similar to single-player Mortal Kombat, the enemy AI in both single-player experiences get absolutely brutal. First, the Intercontinental Championship, where you'll fight 4 one-on-one matches, then 2 of the handicap matches where it's 2 opponents versus you, and finally a 4-way handicap match with 3 opponents versus you. Similar to Mortal Kombat, I found myself trying to block more often and dying a lot, and after reaching the handicap matches, I was unable to pass them because I couldn't take out 2 players at once. While the AI does try to sometimes give you a break so you can fight these guys one at a time, the game will sometimes sense when it's about to lose, and the fight just goes completely in their favor so insanely quick. WWF Championship mode is way harder, with players needing to defeat a total of 4 handicap 2-to-1 matches, 2 of the 3 versus 1 handicap matches, and then go through the gauntlet of beating every single roster member before acquiring the title. Let's just say I couldn't even get to the handicap match. Enemy AI is so brutally cheap that it feels like an arcade experience despite actually buying the title instead of pumping in the quarters. To me, the lack of modes in this game for single players, as well as the extreme difficulty, makes this a hard sell for anything but multiplayer head-to-head.
Natalia, right?
Yeah.
I'm Mike. I'm with the EVOLVE production team today. I'm just helping out with anything that you need. Can I get you anything?
Подожди. Майк Тендер?
Yeah.
Ты Майк Тендер? Реально Майк Тендер?
Yeah.
Слушай, я большой фанат твоего шоу. You haven't played this game. Это твое любимое шоу. Все эти обзоры на геймы Metroid, Haunted Ground.
Yeah, that's me.
That's you? Felios also? You did that?
Yeah.
А, боже мой, я не могу поверить, слушай, это реально ты. Слушай, я обожаю твое шоу, это просто огонь, я постоянно смотрю его на YouTube.
Okay, cool. Can I get you anything?
Yeah, just get me a protein shake.
Okay.
Oh my god, I can't believe this is really Mike Tendo. Боже мой.
Graphically, the game is very impressive, with every wrestler matching their mid-90s persona quite well. Somebody may have to fill me in because I'm not really fully grasping the little bleeding objects that pop out like hearts, skulls, and fire? But the backgrounds with a fully animated crowd is visually exciting to look at because back then, crowds were usually very cookie-cutter in sports-based video games, so it was nice for this to feel less like a sports title and more like an event. I will say that there's not much to get excited about when it comes to the music of this game. Sure, there's some wrestling tracks for the wrestlers and some other songs from Monday Night Raw, but compared to previous game soundtracks on the NES, as well as the later fully fleshed out themes from the later years, this game soundtrack and its 4 to 5 second loops of wrestling themes just feels like it's down for the count. The commentary is lively, yet repetitive, with Vince McMahon and Jerry the King Lawler returning to provide clean and energetic wrestling-based banter. While I can appreciate the effort spent to bring this to home consoles as accurate as possible, WWF Wrestlemania the arcade game on PlayStation 1 is definitely the definitive home port. With the full roster available the moment you turn the game on, along with crisp 2D sprites that look just like the real thing, as well as an active audience and stellar commentary, this easygoing wrestling game is fun to play once in a great while, mostly just for giggles and laughs at how over the top it is. However, the single player modes as well as the 2-player co-op mode are stunted by cheap difficulty tactics and load times during matches, which will send you over the ropes in frustration. When they say WWF Wrestlemania the arcade game, they mean it. This is literally the arcade game left unbalanced for a home market. If you can find this one for cheap, it's definitely worth it for a few laughs. But sadly, the arcade style just doesn't transition to consoles the right way, due to the lack of options and modes to play. This one feels bare bones compared to later wrestling titles, but at the same time, it's so far removed from the more competitive wrestling game style that it's better for casuals like myself who just want to chokeslam some dudes as The Undertaker.
That was terrible. That was awful. That was terrifying. That was terroffling. I tap out. I can't be a production person for a wrestling company? What was I thinking? I mean, I gotta stick to what I know. Video game reviews. Kinda like WWF Wrestlemania the arcade game for the PlayStation 1. It's meant to be in the arcades, and me, I'm meant to stay on my couch and review games for you guys. So, I guess I'm gonna go do that.
Thank you to the following patrons. Your support means the world to me. Want more Dude You Haven't Played This Game? Make sure to stay subscribed to the channel and check out these videos enclosed below. As always, thanks for watching.